Hello, everyone. My name is Sushil, and I would be moderating today's webinar. Thanks for joining the webinar titled Pumas 2.0 for Integrated, Efficient, and Scalable Pharmacometric Workflows. So as the title say, we are going to talk today about Pumas version 2.0. In our earlier webinars, we have explained, presented, and discussed about Pumas software platform, the fastest end-to-end pharmaceutical modeling and simulation platform for quantitative analysis across the drug development lifecycle. So we have discussed about its capabilities. Today, we would be presenting more on what 2.0 version brings in terms of features and capabilities like automation, plotting, modeling, and parameter estimates, comparison, reporting, and several other steps. The webinar today is going to be presented by Dr. Vijay Ivaturi. He is the co-founder and chief scientific officer at Pumas-AI. And he's also an assistant professor at University of Maryland School of Pharmacy, Baltimore. That I would request Vijay you to get started.
All right. Can you guys hear me and see my screen okay?
Yep, we can see you and hear you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thanks, Sushil, for the introduction. I'm super excited that to give this webinar. It's been about 8 to 9 months before prior to this, where we gave the 1.0 launch in August last year, and a lot has happened since then. Thanks to more than 1,000 users who've downloaded the program so far, and their fantastic feedback over the last year, we have made really big strides in improving our tooling and our ecosystem and making it much more user-friendly and efficient for the end users. So at the end of the day, we are a team of scientists, and Pumas 2.0 that I'm going to talk about today is a product that is built by scientists for science. We know the pain points because we work in the drug development and clinical therapeutic space, and we really want to make the increase efficiency and improve the work product deliverables. So at the end of the day, the science should be the core of everything that we do. The tools should just happen to be there and give you the get your work done, right? And at Pumas-AI, we are trying to engineer solutions that, across the entire spectrum of healthcare, right from discovery to delivery. So that means all the way from the pharmaceutical development space to the actual patient care, because the end consumer of everything that we do is still the patient. And for that, we have two main products. One is Pumas, which is the platform that I'm going to talk about today. And the second is Live, which is a clinical decision support system that is used for patient management. And we are a team of more than 20 scientists. We started off with like 3 or 4 back in a couple of years ago, and now we're close to 30. And really bright folks coming from MIT's Artificial Intelligence CSAI lab and its spin-off company, Julia Computing, and the domain expertise coming from the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and the spin-off company, which is Pumas-AI. So we are a team of dedicated scientists trying to build tools for science, and we really want to showcase in 2.0 the strides that we've made in improving the efficiency. So, sorry. Let me just give you 5 takeaway points for this presentation. At this point, we have validated Pumas against industry standard software, again, in thousands of test cases. And in terms of both estimation, simulation, workflow management, all these different cases. We designed it to be a one-stop shop so that you can actually do your entire analytical framework within one system, so that you don't have to switch between tools. The overhead on maintenance and all is gone down because you're all working in a seamless platform. We have made multiple submissions to the regulatory agencies. In fact, we have multiple MIDD submissions that are already completed, and one of them which has already been accepted by the FDA. We've also made submissions to other sponsors, and at this point, the regulatory agencies have access and are using Pumas for reviewing, especially the submissions that we make. I don't need to talk about speed. You guys have heard about it. And in terms of the new innovation that Pumas is very unique about is this whole concept of scientific machine learning. I will not have too much time to go in depth about this, but I will recommend to go into our YouTube channel to check out a video where we do talk in detail about what is the scientific machine learning and how is Pumas implementing it to tackle really difficult problems. Having said that, all of this needs to come in a platform that is easily accessible. And as of 2.0, we are really happy to launch Pumas Enterprise. Pumas Enterprise is a modern cloud computing platform, and which it has business continuity, reproducibility, and all these bells and whistles that are required. And in this platform, you have a Pumas specific IDE. You can run different. If you don't know about Pluro.jl, it's a fantastic new ecosystem for notebooks. You can run Julia, you can run Non-MEM, you can run RStudio, and any of the GUIs that you want. And all of this in a compliant server that meets regulatory standards. So Pumas 2.0 is going to be available as Pumas Enterprise through this ecosystem. Now, I talked about the feature, I talked about the main 5 points and how we are going to deliver it. But what is it that we really are delivering? If you think about a modeling and simulation workflow, these are the 4 separate steps, right? You have some data wrangling, then you do some data analysis, then you figure out, oh, you know what, no, I need to go back and change my data a little bit more, maybe make some transformations. This cycle goes on. And then after you finish your analysis, you need to do some post-processing, and then you need to get into reporting, right? And at the end of the day, all this needs to be tracked. You need to keep a track of how your projects are generated, how you are able to keep track of every single change that you make and the hundreds of models that you build, right? So what we are really striving to do is to make this seamless and integrated for you as an end user. And Pumas, through its various analytical platforms and different capabilities in the ecosystem of Julia, is going to allow you to do all of this in a single platform. So let me start by breaking each of these into one summary slide each, and then I'll go into the Pumas 2.0 features. If you talk about data wrangling, at this point, we support multiple file formats: CSV files, XLS files, XPT files, or SAS7 BDAT, right? And coming up later this year, through our deep NLME platform, you will be also able to read in images and unstructured data, where now images can be used as covariates in your model. For more of that, you can look at some of our deep NLME presentations. In terms of analysis data requirements, if you're familiar with using Non-MEM or other tools, the data sets, the standards are the same. Whatever data set that you have there should work right here. There's some small tweaks here and there, but in general, they should just work. And all of us understand the pain points of data wrangling and data summaries. So what we have taken is one step ahead and said, how do we alleviate the pain and make it simpler? So we are coming up with a lot of automated data summarization and reports, interactive dashboards, and also some really powerful ecosystems in data handling in data frames and change.jl. Now comes to data analysis. You got your data set in, now you need to do data analysis. If you go through this different steps, first you do some basic NCA analysis. Yes, we have NCA analysis, we can talk about it. Then we have naive, pooled, and two-stage analysis methods. Then you can use these as good initial estimates that can be feed into your maximum likelihood estimation methods. As of 2.0, we are also offering FOCE-based analysis of discrete data models. If in other software, you are familiar that any discrete data models can only be done by Laplace approximation. In Pumas, you can do it with FOCE, which gives you humongous time savings, especially when you have PKPD kind of models where your PD as an outcome, like a discrete data model. You can imagine that you don't have to go through the Laplace approximation even for PK when you're doing such an analysis. So this is very unique and only available in Pumas. We are launching SAEM, expectation maximization methods. Bayesian, we've already had but it was not like fine-tuned earlier. But 2.0 will see a lot of fine-tuning of the Bayesian methods. We're introducing a map-based estimation and the equivalent of whatever happens in STAN. And everything is, you write a regular Pumas model and the Bayesian just works. There are a lot of different features that we are adding to make the workflows more simple. But in general, the estimation algorithms exist to do your data analytics. And the core of all of this is that you as an end user do not have to worry about parallelism. If any of you know and try to set up parallelism using MPI or something, well, if you have a system admin setting it up, well, it's well and good. You don't have to worry about it. But the parallelism that we provide, thanks to Julia, comes just saying parallel is equal to true, and it just gets parallelized. You don't have to worry about any setup. So that's the advantage that we're bringing in data analytics. Post-processing is a core aspect of every modeling workflow. So if you talk about inferences, inference of your model, we do asymptotic covariance matrix, non-parametric bootstraps, and sampling importance resampling. In terms of inspection, in and out of sample predictions, and the standard and Monte Carlo based residuals. In terms of validation, VPCs for all kinds of data and both standard and prediction corrected VPCs. We have simulation with uncertainty that's super easy to do, I'm going to showcase, and global sensitivity analysis. While these are the important algorithmic perspectives of the post-processing, we are also cognizant of the fact that it's not just enough to do these algorithm stuff. We also need to provide an easy way to visualize and report them. So we have really nice visualization and reporting functionalities that are coming up that I will showcase in a bit. So if you think about this workflow, data wrangling, analysis, and post-processing, I've covered this. Reporting and audit tracking has become a very important aspect that all of us have to be aware of. And in 2.0, we are introducing workflow management. It's a completely trackable and reproducible ecosystem where when you start your project, you start on the audit tracking, and we see every single change that you make in your project, and we keep track of it, such that once you finish a project, you can come back and reproduce and figure out what is the exact trace of everything that has happened. Or 5 years from now, you can come back and get the exact same results using the exact same versions of the packages without you having to go through an entire process of, oh my God, I forgot what version of Pumas or what version of this package that I introduced. We take care of that as long as you turn on the audit tracking. So with that, let me go into the key features of Pumas 2.0. This is just a general list that I've put together, and I'm going to go into each one of them in a different slide. But what I will tell you is that starting March 16th, we have a Pumas 2.0 feature webinar series. The first one is on fast converging algorithms to probabilistic estimates. We are introducing a new method called the Koopman method. And you can register here. And if you want to get more updates about these feature series, please subscribe to our newsletter so that you get a feature series webinar. So each of these different elements will be of own feature series by itself, and you will be able to interact with us and ask questions directly. And this is starting on March 16th. And we'll, for those who registered and are attending this webinar, we'll send you this link for the future webinar. So let's get into the details. The first enhancement for 2.0 is a slight update to the Pumas interface. All of you who've already used Pumas interface before, now you will see a slight improvement in how you annotate your model. So you see the parameters here in the param block. Now you can label these parameters just by putting quotes on the top. And these labels, we use them to generate automatic plots and tables. And I'll showcase to you what that means, right? And you can do it in multiple areas. You can do it for your covariates. You can do it for the derived, the individual predictions, all these different elements. So we take care of, if you give us these labels, we'll label the plots accordingly and correctly. If you don't give us these labels, the standard variable names will come in. We already know this. We match non-mem results exactly. So these are parameter estimates, standard errors, and likelihood comparisons. across the board for this is just run serial single threaded. Pumas in orange seems is much faster than non-mem in this range of models tested, and we are testing more models as we go along. And if the speed of the model increases with complexity, this is a model on HCV with quantitative differential equation system in 30 subjects. Non-mem ran it in about 1800 seconds. We ran it about 170 seconds. And this was already in 1.0, right? Now in 2.0, as I said, the first new algorithmic improvement that we're bringing is SAEM. There is a slight difference in syntax on how we are providing SAEM to the user. Instead of the at model macro, we are calling it the at EM model, at expectation maximization modeling. And we have a very a slightly different syntax for two blocks: the random block and the pre block. The random block and the vars block, where you write your equations as if you write a formula in R, right? So clearance is 1 plus log weight, and we support multiple distributions. We can get into the details later, but this is the new modeling syntax for SAEM. And we support a wide variety of distributions and the standard post-processing that comes with SAEM. And this is how the current results look with SAEM. Pumas estimates on the left, non-mem estimates on the right, on the x-axis, and you see that the results match. Comparison to non-mem for SAEM runtimes, we are much faster. And we all know that non-mem SAEM is slow in general, but this is just a good benchmark for us to have to see how we perform. The orange, for example, this two-compartment model takes about 40 seconds in Pumas and about 1,000 seconds in non-mem, right? And we've done the same comparison with the other SAEM tool out in the market, and we are on par or sometimes even better than that tool in terms of performance. The second feature is this is only available in Pumas at this point, and so the idea of non-Gaussian random effects. We have first-class support for non-Gaussian random effects. What does that mean? All of us know, and we've learned that the eters, the between subject variability, the realizations of your between subject variability, are normally distributed. That is a hard assumption that is baked into the way it is available in other tools. But in Pumas 2.0, you don't have that assumption anymore. You can assume your eters to be any distribution. So in this example, a very simple example that I'm showcasing. Here I'm saying my eta CL is normal. This is the normal way we write it, right? And then for our actual equation, we say clearance is TVCL times exponential of eta CL. But here, I apologize, this should be the pre-block, not the param block. But now, instead of writing this, you can say it is log normal, and then you can say TVCL times eta CL. Now, this brings a lot of flexibility because you can use this functionality to, we support many distributions. It's already available in the documentation. And for example, these are all these distributions that are listed in this plot. It's sort of difficult to see, but if you expect your eters to be distributed like any of this, we will support them for your eters. So for example, in this case, we're saying our bioavailability is beta distributed, and we just specify the mean and the variance, right? So because we want it to be 0 and 1. And suppose if you have a really heavy tail and you want to specify a T distribution or a box-Cox distribution, you just specify it and it's available. In 2.0, we are supporting censored and truncated data model, censored and truncated data models. So what does this mean? So if for data that is below or upper limit of quantifications, the M2 and M3 methods are naturally supported. So any distribution that is continuous in nature, you can just do a truncated version of that distribution or a censored version of that distribution. Pretty simple, right? Nothing more fancy than that. So this covers the M2 and M3 methods that are usually performed in other tools. Starting 2.0, we have first-class support for parametric time-to-event models, both single and repeated time-to-event models. It's a differential equation-based syntax where you can code your cumulative hazard. And we support multiple distributions, exponential, viable, double viable, Gumperts, and more are coming in as we speak. One of the pain points of time to event modeling is the simulations from time to events, and especially when you want to do different kinds of VPCs and different kinds of out of sample predictions. We've made that really simple for time to event models, where you don't really require new data sets. We do a lot of the data handling for you, and it's super simple to do time to event modeling simulations. And also we have first class support for visual predictive checks of time to event. Simulation with uncertainty. This is something that is been requested and a top feature by many of the people who've been using Puma so far, because it is quite tedious to do it on other tools, right? So let me walk you through how we exactly do it. Let's say you fit a model, right? You fit model population parameter. Let's say I fit with the maximum likelihood estimation. Then I take the fitted model and I say, look, I want an inference on it. The infer command gives you the variance covariance matrix and the standard errors of this fitted model. Then this inferred model, you just pass into the simulation of Pumas and you say, how many times do you want to simulate? And you get the simulation with uncertainty. And this gets passed into the VPCs so that you can actually get VPCs which have simulation with uncertainty. Pretty simple. Now, the other use case is, let's say you have a literature data, a literature reference or a prior model where you have a variance covariance matrix. You can write up your own model, design a population of your choice and say, I want to simulate with uncertainty using the variance covariance matrix. And you can simulate many. So this really makes it simple for you to take it to the next level of simulation with uncertainty. The next feature is in terms of inference. We support now sampling importance resampling and bootstrap, which is both stratified and distributed. So there's a lot of for models that are highly intractable. You know, sometimes it's just easy to do a bootstrap to get your confidence intervals. But sometimes for models that take a lot of runtime for your variance covariance matrix, you may just want to get your first variance covariance matrix and then use that as a proposal distribution for your sampling importance resampling. And this is just fast, and we know that even from other tools. So this is being introduced in 2.0. Then starting 2.0, we have a new syntax that is being available for reaction-based networks. So instead of writing the dynamics block where you write down your own differential equation for everything, imagine having this where you want to codify this reaction network. All you have to do is say at reactions, begin, and then you say, what are the parameters of this reaction network? What are the species? And what is a product? And this will lower down to this differential equation and also provide a nice graphing tool that's available to visualize the model. So it becomes really easy to visualize to start writing your models. And this actually makes a lot more sense when you're writing really big models and models which have a lot of species. So this is a new syntax that's available. And this syntax will allow us, hopefully, very soon, and maybe in 2.0, I'm not really sure, to do stochastic differential equations for both simulation and estimation. Starting 2.0, we also have optimal design. It's very easy to, in the first version of the optimal design that's coming up, you will be able to optimize over observation times, over sample sizes, and number of groups. That's a first design. That's a first release of optimal design that we have, and all you have to do is you write your model, you specify some design criteria, and you optimize. It's all in the same framework, and you can do it on a standard model or a fitted model. It'll just work. Then in 2.0, we also have parallelized global sensitivity analysis. And those of you who are working with multi-scale models like the PKPD models, you understand that this is more of doing global sensitivity analysis is more of in these multi-scale models. But starting 2.0, you can actually do these global sensitivity analysis on parameters or interactions or the derived outputs like AUC for regular PKPD models. And we have all three methods, SOBOL, EFAST, and the Morris method that can be used for global sensitivity analysis. Starting 2.0, very soon we are launching the Pumas-NCA bioequivalence and IVIVC graphical user interface, which will allow you, it's a very simple and intuitive interface, web-based, and it can do NCA in just a few clicks and completely automated tables, listings, and figures that you can use for reporting. And more on this will come out in a completely separate webinar once it is ready to launch. So now let me go into the key post-processing features of Pumas 2.0. There's a lot to speak here. And what I want to do is, instead of actually showing slides, I would like to take the opportunity to showcase a live demo on how we're going to do this. So let me switch over and go to, so this is the Pumas Enterprise platform that you will have where 2.0 is going to be available. And here you can run Pumas, you can run Julia, you can Pluto, RStudio, and you can, you bring your own software, you can put it in here, get your own licenses, and this is completely compliant. There's audit logging and all of that good stuff. But let's say I launched Pumas right now, and well, this is a plot that we can take a look at later, but this is the interface, right? So this is going to be a different interface than what you've been used to before. Earlier we used the Atom. Now we've completely moved over to VS Code as a standard offering. And let me showcase to you the functionality of how we're going to do this. So I'm going to skip over NCA for a reason. But I want to showcase compartmental modeling because that's of interest. Remember how I was showing you that there is a syntax that allows you to label parameters. So I've labeled these parameters here, right? So this is a regular model. And if you have, for example, the diagonal domain omega matrix, if you have multiple elements, you just write a list, okay? And you can even label your covariates. So this is my model. And if you have labeled my dependent variable as CTMX concentration, okay? Now that we've developed this model, I want to generate, I don't know, I don't have good initial estimates for this. Okay, there's some initial estimates, but I don't have enough reasoning for a good initial estimate. So what I do is we are introducing now the Pumas 2.0 feature set for interactive apps. You as an end user do not have to learn how to build apps. We do it for you in the back. So how do we launch it? Just call app, you pass in the model, the data set, and some set of initial parameters, right? And if I launch it here and open it up, oops. So let's see if this opens up. There you go. So this opens up a nice web app. And in this web app, you have access to the data set. You can filter, you can do all the standard data wrangling that you need in terms of viewing the data. And at the bottom, you have two panels, the plot on the right and the controls on the left. And when we want to get some good initial estimates, in getting good initial estimates is always a difficult part, right? So any kind of model, you'll be able to get, you can use this app. You want to get the mean estimates to begin with, right? So let's uncheck the random effects, right? And you still see this noise mainly because of the sigma. So I'm going to reduce the residual unexplained variability. So now I have just this part, right? And you see this is a completely interactive as we go along. And now I may say, well, look, this curve is not really reaching to the top. I want to reduce the volume. So I can reduce my volume here. This is macro level tuning, and this is micro level tuning, right? So this is 20% changes, and this is high level changes. And then you may say the Ka is not very, that it should not be that high, it should be slower. And then I can see this, right? Now, the good thing is this app is always talking to my Pumas session. So I can go here And if you look at how this is set up, actually, we changed our volume to 11.4 and Ka to 1.8, right? So if I go back here and update, so I stored my app in an A1 variable. Now, if I update this, right, you will see that the estimates have been updated here. Okay. All right. So, and then you can use these parameters as your final estimates here. So as initial estimates for your fitting. So what are the fittings that we offer? We offer two-stage analysis, naive pooled analysis, right? Maximum likelihood estimation. And you will see here, all you need to do is change the analytical engine, and you are able to change without doing any differences. And by default, in 2.0, this will allow you to parallelize. We will automatically detect everything for you and be able to parallelize the system. Then we do some inspection to run the diagnostics and inferences, right? But now we have, all right, we have generated this inspect. So what is this inspect? This inspection is basically allows you to get your approximate residuals, your predictions, and your empirical base estimates. But how do I view it? This is where we are providing an interactive app to visualize your um, results of the model. So let me launch that here, and I'm going to open it up. So this opens up as an app, and your model is now codified automatically into nice equations that you can visualize to sort of understand, because sometimes writing code versus actually you're seeing it as equations, you can figure out any errors in the way you specify the model, right? So we codify everything, and it's available right in here. Okay. Then the table of parameter estimates are right here. So remember the descriptions that I put in the parameter labels, they're available right here. The parameter labels and the estimates. You also have the model metrics. We get the estimation time, the log likelihood, -2LL, AIC, BIC, condition numbers, and the shrinkage values, right? And then we have goodness of fit. So the observed data, you can take a look at, if you want to do some data checkout, if you have some outliers, okay, what dose did the subject get? And maybe you want to just quickly get into the goodness of fit plots. Here you can visualize individual predictions and population predictions easily. You can scroll through and select multiple individuals or look at all of them together. You have all the standard plots that you need to see for your modeling efforts, right? And here is the random effect plots, the distributions, and then if you want to look at your fit progressions, you can look at how the likelihood values and the traces look, right? So this is with regards to one specific model. And you may say, well, this is good, but I can't do much with an app. I need a physical report that I can pass it on to someone. The two ways of passing on results to someone else, right? Let me talk to you about both of them. This app, as long as you're in JuliaHub Enterprise, you can set a password to this, and anybody in that platform, you can just send the password and the link, and they will be able to open this app and visualize it, right? So now sharing of interactive apps is just a breeze, because all it needs is a URL, and the URL will work within for people who have access to that environment, not everyone, right? Second, you may say, well, this is not the way. I want to perhaps write up a report. All you need to do is, just like how I said app of this inspect object, I can do a report of my inspect object, right? And a report, it'll generate a file called myfile.pdf. And this is how the file will look. I just generated this plot, this report. Everything is automated. All you have to do is report and the inspection object. We generate this nice PDF for you where you can you look at all the equations that are numbered. You can copy them and use it for your publications. And then we have the table metrics. You can look at the parameters. Remember the descriptions. All these are nicely formatted correctly for you. And then we have all the standard plots. the data checkout plots, then the individual prediction plots. Right now, I'm printing one plot per page, but you can print many grids together, 3 by 3, 2 by 2, 6 by 6, whatever you want. You can specify that in the report configuration section. Then we have all these are automatically generated. And then you may say, look, where are my diagnostics? And towards the end, you also have the standard plots that are available. And remember, all these are automatically pulled. As long as you spend the effort in labeling in your model, we do all the plotting for you so that you don't have to worry about reformatting all of this again, right? So, and the good thing is that you can pass in any number of reports. You can pass in 10 models and you get a report of all the 10 models at once. So that's how efficient this will be. Now go to the next step. Let's say you have a 2-compartment model. Now here I fit a 1-compartment system, but you guys saw that the diagnostics were not really that great. There was a clear bias in the conditional weighted residuals versus time. So maybe it's a 2-compartment model. So I fit a 2-compartment model right here. And then I did some inference and inspect, but then I want to look at the results of, I want to compare 1 and 2 compartment models, right? So all I have to do here is I said, okay, pass in the results of the first model, pass in the results of the second model, tell what are the categorical variables in your model, and give some names to each of those models, right? And there we generate this app where, let me just open this. But now you will be able to get a section for your reference model on the left, a section for your comparator model on the right. And here you can do PK1, 2, and here you can choose whatever you need to, right? So let's say compare PK1 and 2. So you can compare the equations, you can compare the parameters, the dynamics, the derived. You can look at the differences between the parameter estimates, including the confidence intervals. You can see how the model metrics are different between the two, the likelihood and then a -2 log likelihood. And maybe actually in the next version, you'll have a small button here which says, compare if the models are nested, do a log likelihood ratio test, and it will print out the result of the likelihood ratio test. Then now it becomes super simple to compare your models because now you have these side by side, but you also have the ability to compare these models. You say, oh, you know what, I got a better fit than this here, and you move on, right? So this is how the interactive apps are coming up. Now you may say, well, this is just for visualizing the model results. So how is it an app? These apps are extensible to do multiple different things. And right now, this is just a single use case that I'm showing. But the idea here is that we are getting into this whole concept of app store. So we will develop apps for common use cases, and it'll be available in JuliaHub, so in the Pumas Enterprise platform, where you can develop an app, load it, and anybody in your organization can just keep using that app for multiple different things, right? So it's all integrated. It all works as long as you the right access controls are mentioned. Well, you say, well, all this is nice, but I don't want all these plots to be generated. I want interactive views of the plots. I want only to look at a couple of plots, right? So we have a whole new plotting ecosystem that is being developed called Pumas Plots. And here you can run each of these plots individually. So if I want to look at DV versus spread, I just call DV versus spread and I get that plot in here. And all of this is interactive. You can change the different elements of this plot and control the looks of it also, right? And we have a ton of plots. So if you want to look at, for example, the distribution plot of WRES, you can take a look at them and so on and so forth. We also have VPCs. As I said, this is just a showcase of the VPC. This is also interactive in nature. We have stratified VPCs also, so it really brings in a lot of value. And these are interactive in nature, so you can clearly see with some markers as to, oh, you know what, we're not doing really well there. And the important thing in VPCs is we use quantile-based regression. We don't use, quantile regression. We don't use binning because we believe that quantile regression is a more robust way to compute the running metrics. just let's say now you have a data set which has a lot more covariates, for example, right? This is an example where I have a lot of covariates in my model, and I want to take a look at the data checkout of this particular one. So I can run this, and now you have an interactive plot. If it is coming up, did it come up? No, I have no. Oh yeah, because I increased the font size of my screens. That's why it's sort of cluttered. But the idea is that, hey, you know, you have ID on the x-axis, you have all these covariates, and you can quickly look for outliers. Are there any outliers? And, you know, for example, ID1, you have this patient with 125 kilograms. Is that really true? You know, you can answer these kind of questions. And maybe, you know, you have this ID 10060004, and you see who is this patient? Oh, the same patient with a different BMI. So you can make that correlations and understand your data quickly. This is the SAEM syntax. I won't get more time to go into it, but you know, essentially the idea is that you know, this just works. I've just fit this model, and I can showcase the result. But the idea here is that we are able to fit even SAEM and get the results of the SAEM model. Okay. Going back to the presentation, I've covered a lot of what I'm going to talk to you now in apps, a complete plotting ecosystem. You saw that all the plots that were available, automatic rendering of equations of your model so that they're publication ready, different kinds of visual predictive checks, automatic report generation. I've shown you how the report is generated with different figures and tables. Interactive applications on the fly. We saw the initial estimate explorer. We saw the evaluation of the model, the app for that. Then model comparison, how easy it is to compare between models. And the last and the most important thing, which I didn't get to, I talked about it a little bit earlier, was the audit tracking. We are very, very careful in how the audit tracking happens. And just to sort of give you a flavor, what we do is as soon as you say, hey, start tracking my model, and everything goes into what is called as a def plan, we track everything. And this def plan allows you to build reproducible reports. This def plan will track your project, every single step that you're doing, as long as it is inside the def plan. And we will be able to generate a map that is interactive and tell you, where did you start? Where did you end? What was the trace for that path? And you can click on each one of them and say, hey, you know what? This is the author. This is the person who changed this. What did they change it? What function they used to change it? What version of Pumas was used to change this? And all those features are metadata available right in here. Okay. So that is a very, very quick 45-minute breeze through of what Pumas 2.0 has to offer. I know this was very quick, but I highly recommend that if you are interested to learn more about 2.0 and all the nice features that are coming up, please do register for this webinar series that is starting on March 16th, where we will be talking about a lot of these features and some of the new workflows that are coming up for Pumas 2.0. And with that, thank you again for listening, and I am happy to answer questions and have any discussions.
Thanks, Vijay. It was great. Great summing up a lot in so limited time. We do have a couple of questions in the chat box.
Right, just let me give
First one is from Amit.
I'm opening up the chat. All right. Okay. Okay. Whether these comments are given in the tutorial help menu of Pumas, it seems that we need to give commands to our. I'm not sure I understand this question correctly. These commands are given in the they're definitely, we have extensive documentation and tutorials for every single aspect of these, and where the user interface is not in the form of commands. So you mean you have a more graphical user interface? So we've talked about it quite a bit about building graphical user interfaces, but we've taken away ourselves from saying we want to build one monolithic big GUI that does everything to let's build things that are modular in nature. So we are giving you the power of writing code, but also having the power of interactivity through GUIs that are more modular. So I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but you know, a lot of this is available in the documentation and tutorial, and we intend to give a lot of training, public training, that so that people can get up and running on this. I hope that helps.
Yeah, and on our website, Pumas-AI, under resources, you would find all those. I mean, a lot of.
Yes, a lot
Okay.
of features. And maybe I can quickly showcase in Pumas-AI. If you go to resources, in the resources tab, you'll find documentation, tutorials, all the publications and videos that go along with it. Okay. Danilo, is there a way to export assets as individual files instead of generating a full PDF? This would be useful to create articles. Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Every single report, every single element of that report, whether it is a lentified equation or a table or a plot, is by default saved as SVGs or PNG files that you can use for using in your own kind of presentations or own kind of plots. And in fact, the default feature in these plotting is you can actually click on this and say download as a PNG file. So yes, you can do all of that. How does Pumas compare with the frameworks like Dash? Thank you for asking. This is actually a lot of this infrastructure that we have in terms of the app generation. This is actually implemented in Dash. The backend of all of this is Dash. So I hope that answers your question. So user needs some basic skills in coding for using this. I would say yes, a little bit of coding skills, but it's not insurmountable. We take a lot of effort to make sure that the user syntax is friendly. You don't have to learn an entire programming language. It's sufficient to understand the basic principles of Pumas to take this forward. Other questions?
There is one more, which says Pumas software looks great. It saves a lot of time for modeling and reporting, 100% agree. My question is about parallelism. How does it work? Do we have to set it up on our server, or is it available via Pumas?
Okay, so parallelism is available at the core for Pumas. So whichever system that you install Pumas on, we use the core infrastructure of Julia to automatically detect the parallelism. There are the different levels of parallelism, obviously. So the first level of parallelism that is available by default throughout Pumas is threaded parallelism. All you need to do is say, let me show it to you here. We say the algorithm to parallelize is ensemble threads. Now, if you have a cluster, you say ensemble distributed. There are a ton of different, actually, sorry, let me just write this up. There's ensemble distributed, problem, serial solution, split threads, e-summary threads. So many different kinds of parallelism that we support out of the box. So you don't have to learn a lot about how do you parallelize. And the advantage of being on Pumas Enterprise is that you can actually, if I show you here, you can launch a new instance. You can set up a CPU or a GPU. You can choose the number of cores that you want and the memory that is associated. You can set your time limits, and you can launch jobs virtually, and the jobs run and get the results back to you, right? And that is this platform. And from within here, I can then start JuliaHub, which is an additional level of parallelism. So once you open up a cluster, then you say, look, this file that I have here needs more parallelism, more power, right? Maybe I want a bigger system and you want to distribute it across nodes, then this is just authenticating to make sure, I'm signed in so that I can launch new servers. But I can choose between distributed or single processing, CPUs, GPUs, and I can choose the number of cores. And once it is authenticated and I select something, you will actually see that I will also be able to see the cost of what it takes to run this job. So yeah, so see now it's authenticated here. And now I'll say, maybe I want to run an 8-core job, 8 gigabit of memory. Maybe let's just say 32-core job, 8 gigabit of memory. I want to run it for 6 hours, and it's going to sell 7 hours, and it's going to tell me it's going to cost you $35 overall for the 7 hours. Sorry, cluster cost is $5. So a lot of this is automated, and we've taken care of that action. We tell you what instances are running, and you can log into each instance. You can look at the details, show the live logs. So for example, if I want to look at the live logs here, it's just going to pull up all the logs and show me what is everything that is going on. And you can filter for the logs. You can look for different items in there. And yeah, this is a enterprise production ready platform for scalability, and also that allows that is regulatory compliant and follows all the standards.
And just to add from installation perspective, we offer ready to use, instance, fully managed hosted version. If you want it in your own environment, it is possible too. You can write to us at sales@pumas.ai, and we are happy to have a discussion.
Right. Yeah. So this interface can be available within your own company.juliahub.com or whatever, or if you want us to manage this instance for you, we can do that also. Or if you just feel like, what, I want to just run Pumas for a few months or a few days, you can just log in and pay per use and move on. So a lot of different flexibility that we are providing. Other questions, please? For those of you who have used Pumas before, I would love some feedback on what do you think of the new 2.0 features, the new interfaces, the new in general, like what has been your experience and how do you see any of these coming up? Please feel free to chat and let us know just your first thoughts based on what we've presented today. So we use Dash with Plotly, obviously. That's the main plotting framework, and that's it. That's pretty much that's the plotting and app ecosystem that we use. Other than that, we use Julia to develop Pumas, and the reporting infrastructure is all done using packages internal, and it's a really nice Julia package written by one of our lead UI developers, and it's available in the Julia ecosystem. It's called publish.jl if you're curious. Are you looking for anything specific in terms of what technologies? Just so that I understand your question, maybe I was too terse in my response.
I'm sorry, I came in, to the talk a little late. I enjoyed what I saw. I've done some stuff in Dash. Before that, I explored a little with Bokeh, but I didn't really like that framework too much. But it seems like some of the stuff I saw seemed a little like more beyond stuff I was developing in Dash, which was, you know, sort of integration with, like you're talking about hooking up to a cluster, maybe having some of that automated. I didn't know if there is, you know, other open source technologies that, you know, you use to sort of create this. Yeah, so I'm just coming at this from a very naive point of view. I don't know all the, I was going to say Kubernetes. I don't even know exactly what Kubernetes is, you know, things like that.
Well, the main thing here is that Pumas Enterprise, as you see here, is powered by JuliaHub. JuliaHub is a platform. It's a technology and a platform that allows deployment. That it provides integrated development environments and also provides immediate scaling on the cloud for multiple different applications. And the technology there is what we essentially use in order to host apps, to deploy apps, you know, for access management and all of that. So we just develop the apps in our framework, and we let the backend technology of JuliaHub take care of the cluster management, cluster deployment, and all those different features. For example, what you saw here is all done through the JuliaHub interface, the core of JuliaHub.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, and I'm sorry if I missed the beginning part, so maybe there was some of this was explained.
No, thank you for asking.
And does, you know, I'm still very new to Julia, but I've, you know, people say the benefit is that, you know, quicker execution time, maybe it like loads libraries more upfront. I was wondering if there's any sort of processing time, you know, differences between, you know, the fact that you built on Julia, on top of Julia, or what were the sort of decisions to build on top of Julia?
Well, Julia is a modern and intuitive programming language that, you know, is designed to be user-friendly, but is as efficient and fast as C and Fortran, right? But it's really simple to write. And the idea of why we chose Julia is it's a programming language built for scientific computing. And it was a no-brainer for us because we didn't want, we wanted the ability to write easy code, but also have the flexibility to look at what is happening at the code level, at the compiler level. So that was the fundamental reason. And obviously, Julia was really in the upswing when we made this decision, which actually helped us. And now Julia is just fantastic. The ecosystem of Julia packages is just mind-boggling and has become my primary working environment.
So did you say you get more insight into the compiler level and code level? I'm sorry if, you know, if I'm asking stuff other people are familiar with, but, you know, I'm interested in that too. I guess I must admit I'm more of a Python background and knowledge, but, you know, I'm getting more interested in Julia the more I hear about it. And,
yeah,
and, you
know,
and maybe Pumas too, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, a simple thing, like if I just put my cursor here, right, you will now see how this particular code is being lowered down to different sections, right? And, you know, you can inspect the code to multiple different levels, you know, up to the compiler level. I'm no expert on that. I'll be honest about that, but I do know that it really provides the flexibility to drill down deep.
That's nice to see. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right. Any other questions from anyone?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so Vijay, so at Moderna, we have been using Pumas since last year, and these developments are very nice to see with all of these apps and graphical interface that you are putting. It will definitely speed up the workflows that we already have. So thanks to your team for making these developments very nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being a valued customer. This has been really a good journey for us, and feedback from you guys really helped us to improve our tooling. And there's a lot more improvement, a lot more. I'm going to get heated discussions from my team if I say, oh, we already are listing out what is required for 3.0, but let's launch 2.0 first. Yeah, thank you though. Okay. Any other questions, folks? Anyone who's seen this for the first time? Any comments?
Do you see? I mean, I think this was you know, biotech, pharma related. Do you see the applicability in other industries? And are you
Pumas?
thinking about those? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've actually had quite a few folks from EPA start to contact us and starting to think about this. Obviously, you know, the whole Environmental Protection Agency, let me put it straightforward, because they also build a lot of toxicokinetics and PBPK kind of models. So anybody into that space will use this. Then the second is the general infrastructure of the modeling framework, which is the nonlinear mixed effects models, is very, very unique. And the way we've set things up is it's not just for you know, anything related to pharmaceutical development, but also the underlying structure of the nonlinear mixed effects models can be used in general, right? As long as you have some variables and grouping structure, panel data, it allows you to do those kind of statistics pretty seamlessly. Yeah. If you're talking about other than healthcare sector, but within the healthcare sector itself, this sort of diversifies even more, because using our scientific machine learning systems like DeepNLME, we have teams working with us where we're using their images as predictors into some of the models, right? So how do we use real-time unstructured and you know, not tabular data for statistical modeling? So there's a lot of innovation which is allowing other teams to come into the Pumas environment.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. What was the SIML video on Pumas? If I go to the website, if you go to Pumas.ai and you go to videos, you will see this video called Deep NLME in Pumas. It's on the resources page of our website, Pumas.ai, and you go to videos, and we have Deep NLME in Pumas. And the first webinar that we are giving, the first feature series webinar that we're giving, if you go to the publications page, we have it. Well, this publications page is broken for now, but it should be. It'll come up in the publications page where we'll show the Koopman operator. Yeah.
So just to make a comment, you know, I'm actually not in the biotech or pharma industry. I'm in the insurance industry. We use a lot of, you know, sophisticated models for risk evaluation. I'm always curious how really sophisticated models will eventually get into the hands of the average person on their smartphone or however they want to track whatever they want to track, how they want to analyze their genetics versus what is being recommended to them, things like that. You know, how can we, you know, democratize biology knowledge for the common person? I don't know how the industries will evolve, but it seems like there's a lot of need and opportunity.
It is. And thank you for asking that. And that is our main product, the second product, which is Live. And Live is essentially available um, as we really want to use Live to sort of use your word to democratize the use of these complex models in day-to-day patient care. The end consumer of everything that we do is the patient. And if we are not able to put these kind of really niche and complex models that actually are doing something good to serve the patients, we're just losing out on everything, right? So Live is a product that that is already being used in hospital systems where it is designed to give decision supports. But this is also available, and we are working with pharma clients where this will go in as a drug device combination. And now it's pretty common nowadays that when a drug is launched, there's an app that goes along with it and keeps telling you, hey, take a dose now, don't take a dose now. And instead of that being ad hoc, how about being that on the models that were used to actually develop the drug? And if you are able to bring that into the app framework, then you have a lot of really nice room to, you know, as you said, democratize the delivery of healthcare and not just delivery of pharmaceutical products, because you still need to get it to the patient. Yeah, it's a very, very, very good point, and we are really doing a lot in that space at this moment.
And I'm wondering how insurance will play a role. You know, there's probably a lot of need for what is paid for in the health system and who pays for it and what incentives they have and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it seems like a good mission. You know, I wonder if, you know, I think we can imagine doctors and data scientists having this knowledge in you know, in traditional institutions these days, but, you know, it'll be interesting to see when like the retail products come out, how, you know, all the incentives are aligned and people get the best information and pay for the healthcare they need in an efficient way.
Absolutely. I mean, that's always the case. I mean, thanks to the healthcare system, we have to go through that complexity here. So figure out who pays what and all that. But it's just a matter of time. I think it's just going. I'm hoping we can only improve from here on and make life easier, keeping in mind the end consumer. So, yeah, insurance is a big blocker, but I don't think it's a showstopper. Yeah. So for those of you who have not tried it, please, the current download on the website is still 1.1, but 2.0 is coming out in a few weeks from now. And we highly recommend, please download and start using it very soon. You can just, and we'll make an announcement on it. You can just go into JuliaHub, the Pumas Enterprise platform, log in and say, I want to run Pumas, and just use Pumas without asking any questions. So all this is coming up very soon, and I highly recommend that you guys follow up. And if you have any questions, please write to us. We also have the Discourse channel for Pumas. In fact, let me just show it to you through the website. If you go to the resources, and I thought Discourse was here. Well, maybe not. Let me just go in here. Yeah. So this is our Discourse channel where you can ask questions on different things, and quite a few questions asked. Okay. That's all I have for today. I'll be happy to keep answering questions, but for those who want to leave, feel free to jump off. I know it's beyond 12 minutes past the time, but I'll be here to answer questions if you guys are there.
Thank you, Vijay. This is Corey Bishop. I've interacted with you a little bit. I'm from Janssen, but
Yes, hey, Corey.
yeah, fantastic presentation. I have no questions, but thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining and thanks for following along. Yeah.
Yep. See you. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Please type in if you have any questions that you want to ask Vijay. We are here for maybe another couple of minutes. If that's okay with you, Vijay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'm here. I'm in no rush. I just want to be cognizant of others' times. Yeah.
It doesn't look like we have many questions. We'll just wait for maybe a minute or two and see if any questions come in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for those of you who have joined in late, the feature set for Pumas that I've covered today is just a small glimpse of everything else. We've tried to pick out the most important features, but there are a lot more features that are being added into 2.0. So in terms of feature parity with existing tools and workflows, I think we have not only achieved that, but we are a level beyond this. There are a few things that we do miss compared to the other tools, but I'm sure we'll cover that pretty soon.
Okay, looks like we have no more questions from the audience. Perhaps we can end the session here today, Vijay. What do you think?
Absolutely. And just quickly wanted to showcase that if you are interested, please make sure to log into this and register for our webinar series starting on March 16th. And an announcement will go on for the complete listing of webinars by early next week. Okay.
That information, Vijay. And thank you for taking the time out today for this webinar. It was really informative. And for all, we will be sharing the video of the webinar with all of you. In fact, this will be listed on the webinars page of Julia Computing website. So you can access it from there. And in case you have any queries regarding the product, you can reach out to us and we'll get back to you soon on that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.